Hey guys, I got my hands on something interesting today and I want to talk about it. So this is right here a Braun 1000 Lumen Tactical Rail Weapon Light. It is made by Harbor Freight, again, which is interesting because Harbor Freight is a hardware store and they have traditionally not made firearms accessories. So I have three lights here that I'm going to compare to or two lights to compare, three total, including. So the first here is a SureFire X300. I have it because it is a full-size weapon light that is designed for full-size handguns, and it's going to be a good size comparison for this TLR-1 Recreation Braun light. The other one that I have out here is a TLR-7 X Streamlight, and the reason I have that is because the Streamlight makes the TLR-1. So when I'm talking about quality from the TLR-1 Recreation to the TLR-7, that's what I'm comparing, whether or not it matches up to something that Streamlight would make. I don't have a TLR-1, so that's why. So we are going to show lights to compare the Lumen and the Candela. We are going to talk about the quality, and we are going to talk about the size. So I do have my TLR-7 on this firearm, so we are going to show free and clear. So visually inspect the chamber, physically inspect the chamber. There is no round in the chamber. Drop the slide, point in a safe direction, pull the trigger. All right, so the firearm is clear. We have the lights ready to talk about it. First, we're going to talk about the quality. So this is the Braun light, and you can see that there is no branding anywhere, which is interesting. This is probably due to the fact that they don't want you to throw this on a firearm, take it to the range, and have people think that you just bought your light at a hardware store, which, again, is what you just did if you own one of these. It does have two symbols on it. It has caution hot and indicate battery on both sides. It also has the warning for preventing serious injury due to there being a battery inside. But those are the only indications of symbols anywhere on this. So if that's something that appeals to you because you don't want people to think it's like some sort of weird knockoff that does put their name on the side, that's good. But people will immediately recognize it for what it is due to the fact that Streamlight does typically put their name on the side and the type of firearm. So normally this would say TLR-1 Streamlight. Quality wise, it's pretty good. So these rails are plastic. You can hear. The paddle is a rotational paddle style. This is interesting because it is not a manual of arms that I'm used to. I'd have to get used to this. I'm very much used to this SureFire style manual of arms, and we'll talk about how that works. But what this does for you is you can tilt this. If you're a right-handed shooter, let's talk about right-handed. It is ambidextrous, but if you're a right-handed shooter, your thumb is going to go here, right? There's your grip and there's your thumb. So if you press down on this, I'm going to do it off camera, it just goes on. And when you release, it goes off. If you press up on it, you can hold it on and click it off. And then you have a third option, which I only just found out today. I did not know that this came on it, but if you press down on it twice, you can get the strobe feature. I'm sorry if that light offended anybody. I hope I didn't blind you. Okay, so we are going to be doing that later with all of these, so get used to that. We're still talking about quality here. So this paddle has a little play in it. You can see it's a little loose. Not a big deal. It does always return back. Like if you tilt it, it returns back to where it should be. That is good. The paddles are made of a plastic that have a little play. You can see if I'm pinching it, it bends a little bit, and it also lifts up right there. Yep, so these, given lots of use and maybe like environmental weather treatment, will probably break at some point if you put a lot of pressure on those. So be prepared for that. This being a $50 light as compared to the TLR-1 being $150 means that that's not that big of a deal. We'll see, like I said, if those hold up over time. If you don't see another review from me, what that means is that I haven't had any issues with this. I will probably only do another review on this if I have some glaring issue that I want you guys to know about. So we're back to quality. So this screw right here, it's interesting to me. You can see that it's not machined particularly well in terms of how it comes out of the box. There's already some scrapes on the painting as well. So if you're putting a screwdriver in there, be prepared for this to just be shiny metal at some point because you're going to scrape it a lot. But it, the machining is not incredibly good. You can see some of those notches where you're supposed to have texture are already kind of chipped away at. But it is a metal screw, so you're not going to damage this other than some like surface level damaging. The thing that I like about this, so the retention just with your hand, I'm turning it right now, it's not tightened down so I can do hand tightening. When you get it to a tightened position, you can tell that it's holding tension. We'll see how that works when I fire it a few times, whether or not it like keeps that tension under recoil. But I imagine if you tighten this down with a screwdriver, it's not going to go anywhere. The thing that I really, really like about it though, this is an open face, so it's going to fit any flat screwdriver, and the surface of the inside is flat. So if you put your screwdriver in there and turn, you're not going to slip. It's going to actually stay in there. The reason why I bring that up is because on the TLR-7 made by Streamlight, you can see that it's not open on the sides. So you have to get the right size screwdriver, flat faced, and then you have a flat face screwdriver, but it's rounded at the bottom. It's got a concave bottom. So when you put a screwdriver in there and you twist, sometimes it just slips out, and that's not good. I don't like that. You can see I've already scraped up some of the metal there, damaged it trying to tighten it a bunch. So I guess good for you, Harbor Freight. You made a better screw. So the we're going to talk about the pick rail here, the modular system. It comes with a Glock rail installed, but it comes with this pack of 5, or 4, I should say, 5 including the Glock, rails. And so your first rail that you might recognize is the P320. You also have the 1913, which is just the code name for the Picatinny rail. And then you have these other two, which appear to be 902 and TSW/99. I don't know what those two rails go to. If you do, leave a comment, inform me. I tried looking it up. I cannot tell. So I would be interested in finding out what that is if you know. I will continue to research if not. It comes with an Allen wrench to take it apart. You can see there on the side, right next to the screw. That's how you would remove everything in case you wanted to swap those out. It also comes with some screws here in case you lose any pieces, 2 nuts, and a retention ring. This retention ring is interesting because I haven't seen this on a weapon light before, but it goes right here, holds the back end of this screw in place. And retention rings are crazy to me because if you're familiar with building an AR-15, retention rings hold the dust cover in place, and they are often the most lost piece on the entire AR-15 system. People will try installing them, they'll lose that little retention ring, and then you've got to go out and buy a new dust cover or a new ring somewhere. So that's interesting. It's a little bigger on this. You're less likely to lose it, but you got to keep an eye on that. Okay, so we talked about the quality. The plastic has a little bit of a sheen to it. You can tell that Streamlight has a little bit more matte plastic. The paddle on the back of the Streamlight is slightly better quality. There's less play to it. It's obviously not a rotational paddle. It's a push paddle, but it feels tighter than something like this Braun light. Quality-wise, the plastic feels a little better. So there's that. So let's talk about the size stuff for a second. So we've talked about quality, we're going to jump into size. The TLR-1 is made for a full-size firearm. Same with the SureFire X300. So this is why I have the comparison out. I've got it aligned, I think, the way it would work for the pick rail system. So this pick rail aligns with this pick rail. And you can see that the TLR-1 recreation, Braun, these paddle shifters stick out further than these paddle shifters would. And on the SureFire, the front of the light sticks out further than the front of that light. So they're meant for the same size firearm, but they do and are meant for different things. So let's talk about the front portion here. This Braun light, if it was on a full-size firearm, again, this is a compact, so it's going to look a little different. I'm going to try to position it in a way so you can understand what's going on. On a compact, this is what it'll look like. These paddle shifters will stick into the trigger well. They're not going to block your finger from entering the trigger well, so these don't reduce the functionality of the firearm. They will be fine. This will stick out in front on a compact, which is nice because this, I'll show you why. This is kind of what I want out of a lot of lights. On a polymer striker-fired firearm, if you are to put this up against something like a wall, and then you put pressure on it, and you needed to fire, you can see if you put pressure on the slide, you can see the recoil spring. The recoil spring sticking out like that will show that it's out of battery. And so if the slide is pushed back in any way whatsoever and you pull the trigger, there is not going to be a round leaving that barrel at all. So if you needed to fire and it was pressed up against something, having something like this light on the front, as opposed to this light, you can see that the wall is going to stop here. So now you're not getting pressure on that slide and you are helping yourself. This light's not going to prevent that. So this is more for like a conceal carry style light where you're not trying to have something stick down into your waistband. This would be bulky and large. This is concealable, easy to use. So on a full size, this light isn't going to do that. On a full size, it's only going to come out to about here. Whereas a SureFire, I'm going to put that down here, SureFire on a full size, so here's what it looks like on a compact, ridiculous, but on a full size, it's going to come out to about there. And that's good because this is a 4.25 inch barrel. On a 5-inch barrel, which is typically what we would consider full size, it's still going to have a little bit of buffer to prevent that out of battery issue. That's really nice. So we're talking about size. We'll compare it to the compact light. You can see right there. So same thing, we're going to see the things jut into the trigger well. Everything lines up, it sticks out a little further. This is much better for concealed carry in my opinion. So now that we've talked about size, we're going to talk about the light. So I'm going to start with this TLR-7 light. This is a lower lumen light, but it's made by the same company, so you'll get a good idea. I'm going to aim it off screen first so I don't blind you guys. Now I'm going to drag it on screen, so get ready. Okay, so this is a 1-inch by 1-inch grid. You can see that it covers the entire center square and it rounds out a little bit to the other squares. So that's a 750 lumens and it's got a pretty decent candela. I think that that's a really good conceal carry light. I think you can get Streamlight lights that go up to 1,000. So we're going to jump over to the SureFire. So the SureFire is a $300 weapon light. So we're going to expect good things. I'm going to flip it on off screen again and drag it on. So here it comes. You can see that that takes up almost the same amount of space. It's got a nice focused beam. This at range is going to be a much cleaner visual. So if you were aiming this at 12 to 20 yards, you're going to be able to see what you're aiming at very easily because of that focused tight beam. This is what you would expect out of a $300 light. Very good. Here is the Braun light. Now, I think you guys are going to be somewhat impressed with this for $50. I'm going to flip it on off screen, and then I'm going to drag it on screen. Get it to focus. Okay, so this is a slightly larger candela than the SureFire. And the light quality, I would say, is a little yellowish as compared to white. So let's get it off screen so I don't blind you guys. I think that that's pretty good for $50. The reason why you're getting a bigger candela is because the front of the light is much bigger. Well, not much bigger, but noticeably bigger. I would show you the front of this, but I don't want to aim the barrel up at the camera. I know it's safe and unloaded, but I don't make a habit of doing that when I don't have to. So this light, though, you can see is much smaller than this. Okay, so we've talked about the quality, we've talked about the size, we've talked about the lumens. In general, I think that for $50, it would be hard to pass something up like this. This is very interesting. Again, I hope that Harbor Freight gets into some more weapons accessories. It'd be very interesting to see them make red dots. Be really interesting to see them make slings. Things that you might use. Harbor Freight does really kind of like cheap but pretty reliable usual tools for the price. And so if you're, out in the country and you've only got access to a Harbor Freight, it would be really nice to be able to go in and get some firearms accessories for use. So if I didn't answer any questions that you have, drop a comment. I will respond, and thanks for watching.